past haunts us all. Whether it be a person, place, or thing, we are reluctant to let go. We call to the dead out of desperation and intrigue, searching for answers about what lies behind the shadows. We are paranormal researchers. We are Necromancers. Hello, and welcome to the Necromancer Live Show. Once again, I'm your host, Justin Brown, and we have Michelle Herald and J.S. Robinson on episode 37 of the Necromancer Live Show tonight. They have a podcast on Facebook that they do, and that's how I ran into them here recently, and I asked them if they wanted to be on the show, and they accepted. So without any hesitation or further ado, we'll bring them on over and have a little paranormal chat with them tonight. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing pretty good.
Good to
Pretty
hear.
good over here.
All right. Are you guys ready to talk about stuff you always talk about?
Well, sure.
Sure.
All right. Well, the only difference is you get to talk about it with me tonight, and we'll all get to know each other a little bit better. And while we're doing that, I get to show some support to you guys, get you a little exposure to the paranormal community I have established over the last 5 years, and maybe that'll happen a little bit on your guys' end as well. So that's what I try to do. I try to support people, get to know them, just, be real and be friendly, and I think that's a good thing. So far, so good. What I really like to know is how people get interested into the paranormal individually. Like, what are your origins? So, you can decide who goes first, but I'm interested in knowing why in the hell are you into the paranormal? Why do you investigate it? Why are you passionate about it?
Go ahead, Michelle. Let's go first.
Well, I was going to let you go first. I've always, I guess, been interested in the paranormal. As long as I can remember, what really got me started in the paranormal, as far as investigating it, is I started out with my abilities, and then I got into the paranormal through that about 5 years ago. So it's like my spiritual path led me to the paranormal, if that makes sense. And that's really kind of how I got into it, as far as investigating it.
So what type of spiritual path did you set out on? What were you experiencing?
It's a pagan path. Is what I started out on. But after a couple of years, I got really sick at work one time, and I went to the doctor, and they did a complete physical and psychological exam on me, because I really thought either I was going crazy or going through menopause, and I was neither. And I found out that I was an empath, and that's what I worked at a major retail chain, and just being around the types of customers I was around all the time was making me physically ill. And that's what started me on the whole empath abilities top path. But it was probably about 3 or 4 years after that I really got into the paranormal.
So once you start learning more about being an empath, and that the woes and pros of all that, you kind of wanted to know more, and to know more you have to go further down the rabbit hole, right?
Well, yeah, and I really didn't know that there were a lot of people out there that did that kind of stuff. I mean, I started watching. That's when I guess I really started watching the paranormal shows on TV, and I saw some people on there, and I was like, "Hey, that really kind of sounds like what I experience all the time," and that's how I was interested in it. And then I just got to learn more and more about the paranormal, and it snowballs from there.
Cool. So no, like, paranormal experiences, young or?
Oh yeah, I had paranormal experiences all my life. It started, the very first one that I can remember was when I was 5, and it was at a house that I did not want to live at. And I started that evening having a dream that was a reoccurring dream for like 8 years. But my very first encounter with another spiritual being, I was probably about 7.
Wow. We may get him into that more, but JS, how about you, buddy? Is it different? The same? What's your story?
It's different in the fact that I don't claim to have any abilities. I've been told I'm an empath. I've never claimed to be one. And it's not that I don't believe in that sort of thing. It's just I don't believe that. I've never felt that I had any kind of abilities or anything. I too had an experience when I was very young. A friend of mine, a good friend of mine, when I was a child, had taken his own life. Later that day, I saw him on my front porch. At this point, when I saw him, I didn't know that he had killed himself that morning.
Wow.
So, and I mean, I'd always, when other kids were reading, Hardy Boys, and yeah, I'm showing my age a little bit there, but when other kids were reading Hardy Boys and comic books and stuff, I'm reading, Encyclopedia of the Unexplained and stuff like that.
My electricity may go out. If it does, bear with me. I'll get candles.
But I mean, the interest has always been there. I've always been attracted to spooky things, and things that just are unexplained. So that naturally led me, and that's especially after, the event with my friend. I just had to know more. I had to know what was going on.
Right. So did you see him again after that?
No, I did not.
That's really interesting. So it's almost like he just wanted to let you know that, hey, this is the final goodbye, or maybe something to that effect.
Yeah, it was the strangest thing. My mom had sent me out to get the mail, and I opened my front door, and there he was on my porch. I'm like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Let me take the mail inside, and we can go, do something, go play or whatever."
Mm-hmm.
And I start heading towards the mailbox and turn around, and he's not there anymore.
Wow. So full-bodied, looks completely physical, standing right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty profound. And I can see.
It's the only time in my life I've ever seen anything like that. Yeah, I was 7 when that happened. I'm 49 now.
I'll be right back.
And
okay. Yeah, it seems like that's
a
rare event.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just made a statement. It seems like that's a rare event when it happens, when you see something like that.
Yeah, and for an investigator, it's kind of the holy grail.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, of course, no cameras around to catch it. But at 7 years old, you don't really expect to find that. So,
no.
But I've been investigating for 19 years, and I've never seen anything even close to that. So,
sorry, weird stuff's going on at my house. I had to check it out.
bumps in the night, Michelle.
Well, I don't know. I've just got like a feeling. I don't know how to explain it.
Okay, that's fine. So guys, what brought, before we go, into maybe some individual journeys or work you've done apart from each other, what got you guys united together and doing work together?
Oh, I don't even know how we met.
Kind of through mutual friends.
Yeah, I think we met through mutual friends on Facebook, and we've just gone to a couple events together.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's how it worked out.
So it kicked off from there.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to remember how long you guys been doing the show. Has it been a year?
It would have probably been about a year if we had been doing shows continuously.
Yeah, constantly. Yeah, if we've been going constantly. Yeah.
So you guys are both paranormal researchers and investigators. What do you primarily talk about on Around the Fire? Just all things about the paranormal, or anything specific?
Pretty much.
I like to think it's pretty open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's not just paranormal; it's spiritual stuff too. So it's everything, anything that falls under that paranormal, spiritual umbrella.
The supernatural in whole.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you guys have guests that you invite on sometimes, or is it just you two going back and forth on these topics?
Well, we started out on Blog Talk and doing Facebook Lives when we did our Blog Talk shows. But since then, we don't do our Blog Talk show anymore. And Facebook Live will only let you invite one person to go live with you.
Mm-hmm.
But we have the chat that goes on there. And so we try to always answer viewer questions and talk about what the viewers wanted to talk about.
Right.
When we were on Blog Talk, we did have 3 guests on at different times, and that was, to me, that was great. That was, the conversations we had, and these are people I respected. One of them I didn't really know much about before the show, but after the show, I was just really impressed with him, and thought, if I ever get a chance, I want to investigate with that guy.
Yeah, that happens with me all the time. It's really cool to do the shows and have people on that you wouldn't have known about or met otherwise. That's why I like doing the video calling, because not only do you get to talk to them, you get to see them, and it's so much better interaction. I'm interested in how you guys are the same and different as people and as paranormal investigators. You can kind of play off, and answer that question however you would like, but I'm sure that there's similarities and then there's differences. How would you like to explain that?
I don't know. I've never thought of that one. How we're the same and how we're different. I don't know. I don't know. The biggest thing that I noticed about us that we're the same as is it's always our client first. It doesn't matter what we're dealing with. That's our goal, is to help people, and our clients are number one always.
Yeah, I've said many times when doing a residential investigation, as opposed to like one of the pay-to-play places or paranormal playgrounds, we call them.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it residential, my goal is not to go in and prove they have a ghost. My goal is to go in there and prove that they don't. Because if I can debunk everything and give them logical explanations, it takes away their fear, and that should be the ultimate goal when doing a residential investigation.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever ran into problems doing that with people who already are biased or already convinced that they have ghosts?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
More often than not, though, if you give them rational, logical explanations, they'll listen to, and a lot of times it's an aha moment from them, like, I would never would have thought of that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's been a couple of cases where, like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. My place is haunted. I know it's haunted.
Yeah.
We had Frank Lee on the show from Casper Paranormal in Alabama, and he had probably the best line. And I told him I was going to steal this line from him. I asked him what he did in cases like that, when people were just, no, my place is haunted. It's demons, blah, blah, blah. And Frank's like, well, I don't know about you, but I'd rather need a plumber than an exorcist. It made a lot of sense. Of course, I cracked up at the time, and I still use the line. Thanks, Frank. But you just, doing residentials is so different because you're part investigator, you're part therapist, you're part bartender. You got to wear a lot of hats when you do a residential investigation. You have to be able to read your clients. Sometimes. A case in point, my old team, even before Indie Afterlife Society, we did an investigation for a young woman. She had just moved to Indianapolis, had an apartment, no real friends, no family in town, and she met one of my teammates, kind of through chance, and they for some reason started talking about the paranormal. She's like, "Well, I think my apartment's haunted," so we went and investigated the apartment. Nothing. I mean, nada. Not a shred of anything. And, we just kind of figured out that she was just lonely. She was in this town. She didn't know anybody. She didn't have any friends. She didn't have any family. She just wanted people to hang out with and talk to.
Right. That's totally understandable. And, people try to connect in all sorts of ways, and they try to fit in, and they try to bend and explore different ways, to make friends, and that's definitely possible. But Michelle, do you focus just on residentials? Do you try to mix it up with
I do mostly residentials is what I've done. I've done a couple of the pay to plays, but not many of them. But residentials is what I focus on, and I will work with other teams, like as a remote viewer. I do that a lot.
Okay. What is it that you do when you find a place that has activity that's disturbing the client or that is negative, do you do any type of cleansings? Do you call in people to help in those situations?
It depends on what it is. It I've called in. I call in people if I think it's more than I can handle. I'm not one of them people that think I can handle it all because I can't. Um, but I mostly house cleansings and blessings are for the people and not necessarily to get rid of the entity. So um, I do a lot of house cleansings that way for that, just to get rid of like bad mojo and stuff. So yeah.
Okay.
And it all depends on the faith of the person too, on what we do.
So what your stance is that when you do a cleansing, it's more of a psychological effect?
Well, it's more those. It is kind of. It's kind of. I'm trying to think of how to word it here. Um, if there's a home where somebody like has like a mental illness or they have like a lot of drama in their life, well, let's
Mm-hmm.
just go with drama. They have a lot of drama in their life. You can cleanse the negative human residual energy out of there, but they can bring it right back in. So it really is just all depends
So that's
on.
that's what is drawing in the paranormal activity is what they're giving off. So if you stop what they're giving off, then that will help on the other end.
Yes, yeah, and a lot of times it is psychological. It's one of those things that it's something that I teach them how to do it, so it's something they can be proactive about doing themselves.
That's really cool. Um, JS, do you do any? Does your paranormal work extend to cleansings or any? Reaching out to a religious practitioner or any type of spiritual practitioner at all?
I have some people that I could reach out to. I have not had to this point.
Hmm.
I did assist Michelle in one house cleansing, and where were we, Michelle? Down near
Um,
Rising Sun, Indiana.
Somewhere in Indiana.
Yeah, it was down near Rising Sun, Indiana. So I've assisted. Again, I've never had a client that asked me to go that far, um, but I do. I have a few people I can call on if I needed um, to do house blessings and that sort of thing. I also want to point out the whole craze about demons lately. I've been doing this for 19 years. I have never come across anything that I would categorize as demonic. I've run across a couple ticked off spirits, but demonic activity, people just don't understand just how absolutely rare that is.
What do you think it's rare?
Why do I think it's rare?
Hmm.
you know, could it be a case of underreporting? Possibly. I don't think that's the case. Um, I really couldn't give you a real reason that it's rare, but if you look through, and I always say the Catholic Church is not infallible, but there are very few cases through history that the Catholic churches have actually, come back on and said, yeah, we send a demonologist out there, exorcist or whatever, and it was in fact, they've uncovered more hoaxes when they have actual, demonic activity.
Right. In some cases they made mistakes and admitted mistakes, like the case of Emily Rose and several others. Um, the the paranormal pop culture, the shows, the movies, they all play into the fear of you know the demonic. And of course, dogmatic religions have made you fear those such things for millennia. So people are going to fear that those things, and then fear that they're either being influenced by those things in their home or in their life. So it's easy to say that a lot of people may believe that that's what they're dealing with just because they're afraid of the unknown. And
Right.
it sounds like
Right.
that's what you're saying. Do you guys go to events? Do you promote what you do? Talk about some of the stuff that you do in the community publicly.
Michelle?
Well, I go to very few events every year. That's just probably a money issue. And the travel issue.
It's expensive.
It is. But usually when I go, I will set up a table. I don't think me and John's never been to one. We've been to the same ones, but we've never been together as like around the fire
Right.
together. So usually when I go, if I'm speaking, it's usually I'll speak sometimes, and then usually I'll just have like a table set up, and maybe I'll do readings, and maybe I won't. I don't really like to do readings in public settings like that.
Do you do readings at all?
I do readings, but I like to do them privately, or if somewhere I can have a room where it's one on one and kind of isolate ourselves from a crowd.
Right on. How about you, JS?
We do some meet and greets and that sort of thing. I enjoy them. I get to meet a lot of really cool people from other teams and from other areas. It's just really nice to be around people that you kind of have the same goals. There's always people in the community, the paranormal community, that you'd rather weren't in the paranormal community, but I try to stay away from that. I try to stay away from the drama, and just concern myself with the people that I get along with, the people I respect, the people that I would actually like to investigate with someday. The new team you spoke about earlier, it's called No Nonsense Paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's myself, Brad Ferris, Brian Corns, and his wife Marlena Corns. It's just the four of us, but we're going to be doing a YouTube series, and for the finale, we're doing a huge investigation where we've invited Michelle to join us and several other people that we know and respect. And I'm so looking forward to that investigation because it's going to be on, for one, it's going to be on the USS North Carolina, World War II battleship.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be people there that I've not had a chance to investigate with before. That, like I said, I really like them. I respect them, and it's just it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. I can't wait.
Yeah, that does sound like that's an exciting location to do. Let's shift gears, and I have a question that I've been wanting to ask you guys. What is your methodology, and what equipment do you use? What is your goal when you go investigate the paranormal? I know, JS, you said that you like to debunk. If you can't debunk, then you might, explore other possibilities that may be paranormal. But what equipment do you use, and what methodologies do you use? Is it scientific, or what is it?
Michelle,
Well,
question for you. Scientific.
the equipment that I use is audio recorder. That's what I use. It's an audio recorder. I don't have a lot of equipment myself. I mean, my team, we have like a system and stuff like that, but we don't use like ovuluses or spirit boxes or K2. We don't use any of those things. But I investigate most of the time with another team other than my team. So all I have is audio recorders. But it depends on how I'm called in. If I'm called in to be the sensitive, the psychic medium, or whatever on the case, then I don't need all that equipment because that's not my job. But if I'm going in, I want to know the scientific reasonings. I want to look for explanations. If there are drafts, is something going on? I look at psychological type things. I try to rule everything out. That's every normal possibility out before finding something paranormal. So I
Right
can
on.
go either way. It just depends on what my role is during that investigation.
So, when you're not using your abilities, you're trying to, capture some type of voice phenomena with the recorders.
Yeah, I do very much scientific stuff. Yeah.
That's cool. JS, anything to add to that?
We use quite a bit actually. We have DVR system capable of running up to 12 cameras. We have several, handheld camcorders, still cameras, an army of digital voice recorders. Trail cameras. The cameras are only triggered by action or by movement. trail cams. We have some of those. Motion detectors. I have an EDI plus meter, which I love. Some in various other, EMF meters and that sort of thing.
Yeah, they do. John's team does Gansfeld experiments. That's what they are, right, John? I said that right. Gansfeld experiments.
Gansfeld experiment. Yep.
Yeah, they've got all the setup to do those too.
Explain what that is.
It's hardly scientific, but it can create some really cool personal experiences. Gansfeld is basically a sensory deprivation experiment.
Mm-hmm.
You take away, what we do is we take away two senses, and your two biggest senses, hearing and sight. We put headphones on the person sitting in the chair that pump in white noise, so all you can hear is white noise. And then you wear goggles that have been whited out and shine a red light in your face, so all you see is this red light. You can't see anything else. So those two senses are now gone. And then we'll usually leave 2 to 3 people at the very most in the room with the person in the chair. And these people will start asking questions, trying to get, if there's a spirit in the room, trying to get them to do something. Go up and, say it's my teammate Brad, say he's in the chair. Somebody might say, hey, why don't you go up and tap Brad on the shoulder? Or why don't you go up and, pull on his baseball cap or something? The most common thing we get, and it's kind of weird, it just seems to happen all the time, no matter where we're at when we do this experiment, is it feels like somebody's stomping circles around the chair that you're sitting in. You can actually feel the vibrations in your feet and your legs. Again, it's like I said, it's hardly scientific, but it does create some pretty cool personal experiences.
Right on. Yeah, I've definitely heard of it, and I've seen some videos where people try that. And it's interesting. Outside, what you explained, have you had any experiences where you asked for the physical contact and got it, or anything like that? Have they seen anything?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's happened on occasion. Well, actually, I was in the chair one time, and it felt like, how when you're wearing headphones, if you tap the headphones,
mm-hmm.
there's a sensation as well as you can hear it, but you can also feel it. It's kind of that pressure sensation.
Right.
Well, I had the headphones on in the chair, and I took one ear off, and I asked the guy, I told the guys, I said, it feels like something's tapping on the headphones, and they're like, oh, we asked it to do that. I'm like, cool. So I put the headphones back on, and it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And I take the headphones off again. I'm like, can you ask them to stop? It's getting really annoying. So they asked it to stop, and it stopped.
Interesting. Another question I usually ask my guests: Do you feel like you find yourself haunted by anything? Is there anything going on at your homes, and do you think it's caused by the cases that you investigate?
I've had that happen one time.
Okay, elaborate if you would.
I had a friend that contacted me about coming to investigate his house where him and his girlfriend lived, and I was literally choked and had bite marks on my arms. And once I gave that case to another team, all the activity stopped.
Wow.
So it was even before the case started. And it was like one of those cases where something happened and I didn't even connect it to the paranormal until like a couple hours later. But it was one of those things where I actually called somebody else and said, hey, this is what's going on. What should I do? And she advised me what I needed to do, and that's what I did. And now everything stopped. And that person was Bishop Christina Rake. I don't know if anybody knows who she is or not, but a lot of people do. Yeah. So.
Interesting. Do you do anything to protect yourself, or to anything at all after having an experience so that doesn't happen again?
Well, I think just I think in my situation, I'm open a lot, and I've been for like the last year and a half, 2 years. It's when you go in and you're open like that, or you do readings from my home. I do readings from my home, like on Facebook, whatever. like Messenger. Um, I mean, I've got protections in place, but it's just one of those things I just have to kind of deal with. But like I said, I've only had to deal with it one time. I have had, I did a reading for somebody and their dad came home with me. I don't talk about it because when I do, really weird crap starts happening in my house. So I just don't talk. So other than that, that's it.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. JS, anything follow you home, or does anything haunt you?
I've had a couple occasions. There was one investigation I did where I came home and got just really, really sick. And it lasted about 2 days, and it was gone as just as suddenly as it hit me. Um, I do think there is something still here, um, almost nightly, if not nightly, certainly every other night. I'll be laying in bed, and it feels like something's nudging my bed. It just kind of gives you a little where you shake a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's never felt threatening. It's never felt ominous. It's just more like a hey, wake up. Hey, we got stuff to do. Um, so I'll just take it for a little bit, and eventually I'll yell, knock it off, or cut it out, or something, and it stops. But then the next night or a couple nights later, it happens again.
So it's persistent.
It is. I would say that.
How long has that been going on?
A decade, probably.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any idea what it is, who it is?
Not a clue. It almost seems childlike, just in the fact that it's hey, wake up, get up, um, but to try to put an identity to it, I couldn't do that.
So do you think this came from another location that you were at or
I
investigating?
couldn't say honestly. I don't know.
Okay.
I would assume so, but I couldn't say for sure.
Right. Those things are very hard to tell, and it almost drives you to the point of insanity trying to figure those things out because it's so
Yeah, and it's
persistent.
never scared me. It's never, it's always been the first time it happened. I distinctly remember thinking, "What the hell is going?" I thought maybe there was an earthquake in the area or something because it's Indiana, but yeah, we do get little tremors from time to time. They're few and very far between, but it has happened. And then a couple nights ago or a couple nights later, it happened again. I'm like, well, that's not an earthquake. What's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, I'm like, cut it out, and it stops.
Do you find Indiana more active than other locations in the U.S. or the world? Why or why not?
I don't know if I can answer that. I've been to locations in Indiana that were very active. I've been to locations in Ohio that were very active. Illinois. Where else have I been? New York, upstate New York.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it depends on the location. There's a place here in Indiana, actually, in Charlottesville, which is just out I-40, called Revenant Acres. I'm sure you've probably heard of it.
Yeah.
That place is strange because the first time I ever went there, it was being run by a different person. It was called House of Josiah. And other than the fact the place was filthy dirty, I mean, just disgustingly dirty, I could have fallen asleep. I mean, there was nothing going on. There was just didn't appear to be any activity whatsoever. And then after a new group came in and started running the place, went there, and again, it was pretty quiet. And then we're probably, I don't know, an hour away from just shutting it down for the night, and we start getting some activity. And it's just one of those places you go, it's really hit or miss. I mean, one night it's just nothing's going on, and the next night stuff's practically flying off the walls. And I've been to other locations like that. I've done so many investigations where you get no activity at all. I mean, just nothing. The one place I've been that is really consistent as far as the activity is the Rhodes Hotel in Atlanta, Indiana. I love that place. I've been there 17 times now.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about that place.
I've never left that place with less than a half dozen EVPs. It's just ever since my first trip there, it's just been really active. there are other locations that it seems like when I get a certain group of people together, the activity really kicks up. If they take anybody else there, it's not so much, but just a certain group of people, for whatever reason, it just reacts to us. I've also had investigations where we're getting nothing. I get up and leave the room, and activity starts. So, I've been told that I give off this, you can't touch me, you can't harm me, whatever, kind of hardcore attitude. And that's just not what I try to do. I mean, one of the first things I ever do when I go into location is, my name is John. I'm just here to talk to you. I'm not here to disrespect you. I'm not here to harm you. I'm not here to make you go anywhere. I just want you to tell me your story. And I try to ask questions that are personal, things that, a living person would want to talk about, their kids, their parents, their favorite color, their favorite ice cream, whatever I can to get some kind of response.
So you're searching for that intelligent response, because we all know that there's plenty of residual energy everywhere, probably everywhere you go. But it's that intelligent response we're all chasing after, the ghost, that is thinking and reacting to our environment and our dimension. That would be very interesting to get very compelling evidence of that. Michelle, you're in southern Kentucky. Do you feel like this area is like you're in the right area for what you're doing, or do you feel like that there's other areas that you may have been or have read about that may be better?
Well, I think everywhere you go is haunted. I don't think one place is more haunted than the other. I think every place is haunted. However, where I'm at, I think just part of our culture just kind of accepts it. They don't necessarily call it paranormal. They call it other things. They just kind of accept it as part of their life. So as far as investigating, it's hard to get investigations around here. But probably one of the most haunted places I've ever been is Ashmore Estates and a couple private residences.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about Ashmore. I haven't been there yet, but I have a investigator in my group that's been there, and he said it was a really cool place. That's Robin. Awesome. That's Robin Terry's place, right?
Yeah. Yep. One of them. He has the art theater too. That's right. Actually.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, I'm going to try to make it up there. There's so many places, so little time and so little money to fund all these little excursions and adventures we'd like to go on, but we try to. Is there any place that you haven't been to that you want to go?
The list is long.
What's on the top of the list?
The list is long. I have a draw toward the Villisca Axe Murder House.
You do.
But that kind of worries me because I've not had good experiences with going places where I've really felt drawn to go. I have to go back and investigate the Geyer Opera House. I have to go back and do that, a formal investigation. I like to go to historical locations. I mean, that's my thing, is to get the history in there. So I'm really excited about the battleship. I'm nervous because I get claustrophobic on an aircraft carrier. So I'm nervous about this,
and she's afraid of the dark.
And I'm afraid of the dark.
You're afraid of the dark.
Yeah, I'm afraid of the dark.
That's not a good combo.
I tell people when I investigate with them, I don't care if I've just met you or you're my best friend. I don't care who you are. If we're in the dark, I'm probably going to grab you, just because I get very scared in the dark. And I think it's because I'm usually wide open too, but I've just always been afraid of the dark.
Well, good luck with that, because you're probably going to be in the dark most of the time when you're out there.
Yeah, I have a flashlight at all times.
I see you clutching it and shivering in my mind. All right, J.S., I know you got somewhere you want to go. What's on the top of your bucket list?
Again, the list is very long.
You can name more than one if you'd like.
Wow. At the top, okay, I have, and I tell people this all the time, I have a bucket list and I have a yeah right list. All right, the bucket list is places I could get to, and I've knocked off some bucket list locations. Yeah right list is places that I would love to investigate that probably not going to happen.
Like the catacombs or something like that?
The Paris catacombs actually could happen. Mm-hmm. Possibly. I would love to investigate Chernobyl.
Oh, That's a good one. I've never heard of that. Heard anyone
The
say
more
that.
the more mystical places like Machu Picchu
Mm-hmm.
or Angkor Wat, places like that.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as places I could actually probably get to, Velisca's up there for sure. The Winchester House would be, I think, amazing.
Oh yeah. What do you think about the Winchester House, real quick? Do you think that's just more legend and myth, or do you think there's actually something to that story that's true?
It's hard to say. Not having been there, my tendency is to say that it's more legend and it's more, people have talked about this place over and over and over, and it's just kind of grown over the years, as far as its reputation. Um, I don't know. I mean, there could be something to it, and there may very well be. Like I said, I haven't been there. I don't know, but I like to think. I like my brain likes to go. Yeah, that place is going to be super haunted.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'd love to do the Missouri State Prison. The bloodiest 47 acres in America.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of them on my bucket list, but like I said, I've knocked off a few bucket list locations too, so I can't complain.
Yeah, I've done so as well. Last year, I was at Waverly Hills Sanatorium for the first time, and that blew me away. The residual energy there is so powerful that you sit down all the equipment, you put the scientific investigator away into a drawer, and you just walk those halls, freaked out and just in awe of the energy that place resonates with. I felt like Amy Allen off the Dead Files when I walked through there. I was picking up on all this shit that I had no clue of. That's how strong it is. Like, if you've ever been there, it's like, have you been there? Is either you two been there?
I have not. I had a chance to go last year. My team went, and I got sick and couldn't go.
Well, I'll tell you what. Our team has 2 slots available. It's $100 a person. If your guys are interested, let me know, because it's first come first serve. It's June 14th, but that place is like one of my favorite places I ever been, and we got some disembodied coughs that we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that wasn't anybody on our team. It came out of the thin air. There was a few other things that's questionable, like footsteps and some voices, but we're definitely going back. There's definitely something there to capture, and those are one of the places that I love the history and the story behind. But right places. That's the ones that really, really, get your mind thinking about: is it real? Is there something to it? Is it just because the history is just so profound and so interesting that you just want to be in there, be in that location and just vibe with it, and the adventurer and curiosity within us drives us to go to a lot of these places, and it's fun and it's exciting, but I think it's also educational. There's so many places out there that get revenue and support from paranormal researchers and historical,
Oh, yeah.
Enthusiasts, to keep those things alive. And I always ask, well, not always, sometimes I ask these questions to folks like yourself. Do you think our holding on to history and not wanting to let go of not only the history but these locations, do you think that fuels the paranormal activity at those locations, or do you think that's part of the equation at all at these locations?
That's a really good question.
Yeah,
Michelle, why don't you go first?
I think it's a combination of both. But I don't know. I think that it's one of those the chicken and the egg type situation that I think that a lot of places, the only reason that they're getting historical recognition is because of paranormal teams. And the more people that you have coming through a location, that location will actually change because of all the people their intentions when they come there. So that can definitely make a place more haunted than it was. Some places I don't think were ever really haunted. People wanted to know if they were haunted, and then it's drawn other things in. So it's like the whole chicken and egg thing.
Right. Yeah. You got the whole, people that invite witchcraft and all types of other, aspects of the occult and paranormal into places that never even really had any activity, but because of that, there may be something going on, in that aspect. JS, what do you think? Do you think that we fuel or draw in the energy that we're experiencing into places like the urban legends, especially the crybaby bridges, the haunted tunnels, all those places? I've been to so many, and there's no way that the legends have any truth to them, but you'll get phenomena that supports the legend. Have you ran into that? What do you think?
Yeah. Every county in Indiana, by the way, has a haunted bridge of some sort, whether it's a crybaby bridge or a moaning woman bridge or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the historical locations, I'll first say that, okay, like in Indianapolis here, there was a mental facility called Central State. And Central State would be the very top of my bucket list. You can't investigate the place anymore. Half the buildings don't exist anymore. The tunnels are all locked up. You can't get in. But you look at certain locations and you think, man, if there was a place that deserved to be haunted, this is it. And Central State and many asylums throughout the country, many of the mental hospitals, horrific things happen to these people. They were treated, less than human. So if the place was, if a place deserved to be haunted, it would be a place like that. And I think when we tear down these places, there was a place, I think it was called Greystone, in or near Philadelphia, that was torn down. And it was, much the same type of place. These aren't histories that are things people want to remember, but we need to remember them. I think when you just tear these buildings down and just hide all this stuff, you're disrespecting the memory of the people who suffered there.
Right.
And that bothers me. I'm a huge history buff. And there's histories that are not flattering. They're not things we want to be known for, but we need to remember them. Now, do I think we could be drawing in some of the activity ourselves? My team, I have two teams, the No Nonsense Paranormal, and then my first team is Indie Afterlife Society, and we ask ourselves that all the time. We're like, hey, look, is it possible? This place isn't haunted. We're bringing stuff in with us. Unfortunately, there's not really any real way to know that. And Michelle's smiling, I know, because Michelle is one of the most intelligent people I know. Her research into a connection between the paranormal and the human psyche is fascinating. And Michelle, you need to publish that.
Well, there's many things in parapsychology that, suggest that, the things we talk about, the longing to preserve history, to the wanting to honor the dead, to honor a location or events, pay respects to events, the train of people constantly bombarding a location and looking for such thing and longings for such things and wanting such things, that's got to do something. Anybody that has experience with the paranormal or knowledge of the paranormal intuitively knows that there's something going on there. There's a recipe for the paranormal that we do not know, scientifically understand or explain, but we know that, grandma can make a pie without a recipe. So there's things that people intuitively know, and I think that's one of them, and that's why I like to ask that question, especially with people who care about the dead and care about history. I strongly feel that, these places that we save and these places that we interest in, like Michelle said before, the places that draw us, I mean, they can draw you too, and you can bring something to them, and it's almost like you're meeting halfway, and a spark happens, a connection happens. And I would love to see more research into that, and like you said, JS, it's very difficult to research such things, but I think if we put our minds to it and we're intelligent about it, we could eventually find out some things that could be explained.
Yeah, and I think poltergeist activity is more common than we think.
Oh yeah, things moving around, the bunks, the bangs, a lot of people having the domestic violences and the energy getting all tangled up and all construed together, causes some very strange things. Even some visual phenomena, physical manifestations, is the whole host of stuff that I find interesting that could involve psychokinetic energy.
Yeah.
All interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So, guys, why don't you let the people watching know where to find your work, how to connect with you on social media, any plugs that you would like to put down on the show? Go for it right now.
I'll go first because my list is shorter. they can find me on Facebook at Michelle Herald. Also, they can follow Around the Fire. If they go, I think it's Around the Fires. That's how you find it on Facebook. That's not just the show that me and John have done, Around the Fire. I also have a Facebook page. It's a community page, a learning page. We're starting back full force on April the 2nd. That's a Monday. So just, you can find me. Those are the two places to find me.
Right on.
I've really only got two places also. I mean, I've got my personal page, but that's just, my goofiness. My first team, the Afterlife Society, we're on Facebook. We have several videos and clips and stuff of our investigations. The new team, there's not a ton of stuff on Facebook yet, but we are doing a YouTube series of our investigations. Our first investigation was last month at the Mansfield Fire Museum. Really cool place. Haven't been completely through the data yet, so I don't know what all's there, but we know there's some stuff there. But a very little known place, very cool place, great place to investigate, and they charge you nothing to investigate the place, so even better.
Can't beat that.
Our next investigation is in April at Fox Hollow Farm in Westfield, Indiana. But we're going to have, we'll do our investigations, and I think Brian, who's doing the majority of the work for the show, I mean, we give him stuff that we caught, but as far as the guy who actually knows how to edit it all together and everything, that's him. I'm not a tech guy. I'm flat out not a tech guy. But I think we're looking at like a 4-week, maybe 5-week turnaround. I might be shorting that. It might be a little bit longer between investigation and episode release. And the thing about our YouTube show is we're not going to doctor anything. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. If we found nothing, we're going to tell you we found nothing. That's the great thing about doing it on YouTube is you don't have anybody to, hey, you guys need, viewers. Well, no, we don't. We do this for us. If people want to watch, great. Awesome.
What YouTube channel? Can you say what YouTube channel?
It's the paranormalproject.com or paranormal project, No Nonsense Paranormal Project.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely want to, get some people flowing to that YouTube channel so they can start subscribing and following there so they can check it out when you get it up.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to do the investigations the way we think they should be done. And like I said, we're not going to, if there's nothing going on, we're not going to make up something just so people will go, ooh, that happened. If we find nothing, we're going to tell you we found nothing. Just because we found nothing doesn't mean the location's not haunted. It means we didn't get anything that night.
Right. You're just there to document, and that's it.
Right. Exactly.
Awesome. Anything coming up for you guys that you guys want to let anybody know before we sign off on this podcast?
The only thing that I've got going on is September 7th through the 9th. I'll be speaking at the Flower of Life Psychic Phenomenon Festival and Retreat in Buckley, Michigan. And that's a grand time. We had a great time doing that. You can find that if you look at Flower of Life Psychic Phenomenon Festival and Retreat on Facebook, you'll find it. And there's a whole big bunch, and it covers a whole plethora. It's not just one mindset. We're talking people from all areas of psychic phenomenon that are there and speaking. So.
Awesome. Well, I can't appreciate enough you guys coming on the show and having a discussion with me about the craziest thing you can probably think of in reality, which is the paranormal. Is there an afterlife? Are there aliens? Are there cryptids running around? Probably. Probably all of the above. And I like talking to everybody that I connect with on Facebook. I like learning from them, and hopefully, we transfer some type of good things between each other, and the relationship can grow and continue from there. And just hopefully you guys get some support just from being on the show and sharing everything. I will urge everybody watching the show to please check out the links in this video description, follow them on social media, which is primarily Facebook, and just support these guys because they do this all out of pocket. And to me, they sound like they're very solid, legitimate people that are out there doing it correctly. And they have something to offer, whether, you believe in their belief systems or methodologies or not. I always enjoy just people in general and connecting with people first. And if anything else follows, that's a bonus. So I hope you guys have a good night, and hopefully I catch up with you. You guys aren't very far away from me on Southern Ohio, so hopefully we can, hook up and do something in real life and get to know each other even more, and it'll be fun, and just try to do something.
Definitely.
Sounds good.
Yep, and you guys know where to find me. I'm on Facebook. I have a website, interfacedeath.net. Just check out all my stuff. It's available, and I will make sure that I'm following all of your stuff if I'm not already currently. And I will see you soon or talk to you soon. I'm always available to you guys.
All right. Thanks.
Appreciate it, Justin. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You guys have a good night.
You the same.
All right, guys. Please check out Michelle Herald and J.S. Robinson's stuff on Facebook. All the links are in the description. Please go check out those links, follow them, and you will get updates on all their stuff they get coming out, their events, their paranormal projects, and the podcast they both do together. I've watched a couple of their episodes, and they are very, very decent. They have discussions very similar like we are having on this show tonight. So if this interests you, go check them out on the Around the Fire live show on Facebook. All right, guys, you know the drill. We're going to shout out some links here so you can support the show and support our paranormal work. If you would like to financially support this show and Interface Death, you can do so on Patreon. The link is in the description and on the screen. It's called www.patreon.com/supportinterfacedeath. There's some rewards you can get depending on how much you donate a month. $1 is all I ask if you want to help support all the scientific projects and paranormal research we do, plus the show that I have. Go check out Patreon. Follow the Necromancer live show on Facebook, and follow Interface Death on Twitter and Instagram as well. And of course, we always shout out our Patreons on the Necromancer live show. We still have Matt Benton, Clay Borman, and Matthew Jackson on the screen. If you want to see your name on this screen, and if you want to, pledge your support for Interface Death, this is how you do it. You will show up in the credits of our videos, and you will show up everywhere on our work. So if that interests you, please do so. Thank you guys for joining me each and every week, listening to our guests and listening to me interview these people. I appreciate your support very, very much. Check out interfacedeath.net if you have not, and if you're new to the show, go subscribe to the mailing list. You will get information and updates of all the stuff we do on the show and on our paranormal research. Stick around for a couple promotional videos, and I will see you next time. Same bat channel, same bat time, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We're going to have Chris Houston next Wednesday. He does a podcast called Paranormal Truth and Reality, and does a lot of stuff in the paranormal field as well. He's actually working on a documentary that we will talk about next week. Stick around, guys. I love you very much. You're in my hearts. I'll see you next time. Associated with the school?
We got the school in March of 2017, so About 4 or 5 months.